Hey everybody, and welcome to this new venture that we're doing called Just a Little Bit More Love. Tonight, you guys are in for a treat. I have Maddie and Gally, and you'll hear about their special love story from the time they met to when they said, I do. Grab your cocktails and get ready for just a little bit more love.
It's time for just a little more love.
I'm Maddie O'Hara, and before COVID, I was a producer and director and acting coach and improv coach in New York City. So just kind of in the arts in general.
I'm Galiana Castillo. I'm an actor, and I primarily work regionally throughout the country. Yeah.
We met in college at the Savannah College of Art and Design.
Maddie was a leader in the casting office at our school. And, I was a freshman, and, they were doing their preliminary interviews for the casting office. And that was the first time that I formally had met the Maddie O'Hara, because she was very well known in our department for being a leader in this casting office. And I was starstruck, and
I was starstruck. She was well known as being one of the best singers in the entire department. So I was starstruck too. And we were like, the theater major is one social circle, but we weren't in each other's
immediate circle.
Inner social circle. So we were friends, but we didn't become like best friends until after college. But that's how we met. In school.
No.
But we did kiss once because because the Westboro Baptist Church was in Savannah, and they were doing their hateful protest outside of like a Jewish academy, like learning academy. So all the SCAD performing arts students went down to like counter protest their protest. And so we were just doing a bunch of gay things in front of them to piss them off. So
we staged an entire line of same-sex people,
kissing.
And we all just like kissed in front of them and made out. And
so that was our first kiss, technically.
That was our first kiss. But no, we did not date in college.
No.
It's hard to say who made the first move. I guess you did.
I technically made the first move, but that's because I knew she was in love with me. Like, she had been acting. I could just tell by the way she was acting and everything that she had this big old lesbian crush on me.
Yeah.
And I checked in with my feelings and everything. I realized like I totally was into her too. And so it was opening night for Rock and Roll Debauchery, which was a off-Broadway kind of rock and roll cabaret / show that I was assistant directing. And so we had the opening night, and I just was like, I'm gonna drink a bunch of tequila tonight.
And I did too.
And it was in this hotel called the Out Hotel, so big gay hotel, go figure. And I was like, hey, you want to like come look at the hotel with me? And we wound up kissing in the grounds.
Yeah, I would say that, our falling in love story was very gradual. It was a very like slow burn, a slow simmer, if you will.
By that point that we got together, we were such good friends. I mean, we were best friends, which is the way you want it. But it's also terrifying because, there's so much at stake at that point.
Yeah.
If it doesn't work out, that's a huge, major friendship that you've just broken for.
It was a huge risk.
It's scary.
Terrified. Yeah. I mean, it was a good month of agony of true agony. Just like angst, because because we were so close and we were each other's person. Our first instinct was to talk about these things with each other. But because the feelings were so strong for each other, it was like there was this huge thing that was not being talked about between us, and we both felt it.
It filled the room, but we couldn't.
But we couldn't
speak
just
on
like
it.
Yeah, it was just like so hard to like.
I couldn't even look at her sometimes. I just like knew she'd be able to read my whole face.
Yeah.
And so,
but at that point, when Maddie made the first move, it was just kind of like there was no way to go around it. Like we were in love with each
We
other.
were
It was
started out in love. Like,
yeah, there was no other choice but to
and we never
dive
looked
in.
back.
Celebrated our 5-year anniversary last week.
5 years together, and on June 17th we'll be 1 year engaged. Show them.
We're supportive.
We're very lucky.
Yeah, we have really supportive parents who their primary concern is that we, are happy, and also we found supportive, loving partners.
Now, for me, I had been in a same-sex relationship prior to Galiana, so my parents knew that I was like out, and they were all about it. And this was Gali's first.
This was my first, relationship with a woman, and I was nervous about sharing or coming out to my family, but ultimately, I come from a family again that their primary concern is that I am happy, that I'm with someone who supports me unconditionally in every aspect of life. And, and those were the two top criteria, and Maddie totally met that. And
what did your grandma say when you were trying to tell her?
Oh,
she like knew.
I know. I was telling her that I that I was in a relationship, and the first thing she said was like, "Oh, is it the girl who you take all those pictures with?"
The gringa.
Of course, the gringa. All those pictures with, and I was like, "Yes." But she said, when I first told her, she said, "Girl, I already knew. I told your mother that you were gay." And I was like, "Okay."
The O'Hara side of the family takes an annual beach trip to Edisto Island every year. And so everybody had like been quarantining in their own space so that we can meet together at the beach for this one week. And the beach house itself was like away from the main beach. We just stayed as a family unit away from people. And my family is small. It was me and my parents and Gali, and then my aunt, my uncle, my cousin, and my grandmother. So that was it. And they knew ahead of time that I was going to do it. And so I had my cousin and her boyfriend go down to the they went on a beach walk ahead of us, and I was like, "Oh yeah, we'll meet you down there." And they knew to go hide in the sand dunes and get ready. And then I led Gali down there, and it was like sunset, and it had been raining for days, and the weather had been not agreeing, and so this was the first window of opportunity because the sun was out and it was a beautiful sunset, beach sunset. So I took her down there and I asked her, and they filmed it and took pictures and stuff. And then so we walked on the beach a bit, and then we rode back to the beach house on these bikes that we had rented. And as we were pulling into the beach house, my whole family was on the porch, and my dad sent a cork flying from a champagne bottle at us, and we celebrated.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was really nice.
Well, I kind of knew, like I said, our love story kind of was a slow burn, but there was a time where Maddie had texted, we were working at the same bar, and Maddie had texted me that day, "I can't wait to see you."
This is before we were together.
This is before we were dating.
Answer.
Yeah, she said, "I can't wait to see you at work." And I just remember walking into work, and this particular bar has 2 stories, and it has a beautiful, just New Orleans style banister. And I remember walking in, already feeling excited about seeing her and knowing that she was excited to see me. But this is totally cheesy, but I just remember walking in and looking up, and she was up on the 2nd floor, and she had this beautiful smile on her face.
Oh,
she was so happy to see me. And that's when I saw that, and I was flooded with all these feelings of love, and I was like, yeah, I'm in love. Yeah.
Come on. Mine takes a dark turn. We had been together for a few months, and Gali she was on a contract, and she came back and she was super sick, go to the hospital sick, high fever, chills. I was so worried about her. I was taking care of her. And so she took a nap on the couch, and I was hawking over. I just sat in the corner and watched her nap and made sure she was okay. And while she was sleeping, I was talking out loud. I was talking to her, and I told her then and there that I'm gonna marry you one day, just so you know. Hope you're ready. And she slept through the whole thing, but that was, I pretty much knew, just being so worried about her while she was sick, and realizing how important to me she was, and that I just couldn't imagine like a future without her in it. So that was
for me personally. I think it all depends. I think it's all on your experience, right? For me, I had an issue with being truly intimate with men. Like I found myself that, I could have a sexual relationship with a man, but I struggled to have the intimacy, to have the emotional relationship with a man. And when it comes to having a relationship with a woman, I found that I had both of those things. I had the emotional and the physical relationship connection. It was there. And I think that for me is the biggest difference in a relationship with a man and a woman.
Yeah, I'd agree to that. Like, on the one hand, it is, as you say, like, love is love is love is love is love is love is love. Like, I don't think love is different between a man and a woman, a man and a man, a woman and a woman, or whatever, whichever way you want to go about it. Like, love who you love, love is love, that's the end. However, I do think, I don't know, there's something special about the bond between women in general, not even like in a sexual way. There's just almost a secondary language that women speak to each other, I think, in this world. And that, when added to a relationship like of intimacy, is, I think it is different. I mean, you can't compare it quite to a heterosexual relationship, just in the same way, that two men have like kind of their own language. I think there's something about two women together that I think is unique, and I think it speaks to like a subtlety of communication that women have. And so I don't think the love necessarily is different, but I do think that it's a different type of relationship than maybe. Does that
kind of speaks to just how lucky we are. I think that we surround ourselves with people who love and support us primarily. I can't think of a time that our relationship has been challenged directly.
No, maybe like scoffed at a little bit. I don't know if you want me to tell us, but I'm thinking about going home the first time for Thanksgiving.
Actually, it's so funny. I just put like the negativity things. I'm just like, whatever. But yeah, I had an uncle who kind of scoffed at our relationship and kind of made it seem as if it was a moment, like it was a phase. And I was
silly.
like, yeah, he kind of like laughed at it. And I was like, no. But also, I didn't, but again, this uncle was not an uncle that was in my life. He wasn't like a main character in my life. So I kind of just was like, you're wrong. And also bye. Like,
and similar, like I grew up in like kind of a very Bible Belty area. So I don't think that I can say that I had to defend our relationship to anyone, because we got together at a point in my life where I'd kind of already weeded that out. But throughout my life, I've definitely had like high school acquaintances, etc., who, were very anti like gay, or whatever, that I've, battled it out with, but not in defense of my own relationship, just more in defense of the gay agenda, if you will.
Yeah.
But so, yeah, I would say that by the time we got together, we'd pretty much already found our niche, so that we haven't really had major players in our life come up against our relationship that we had to defend it to or anything like that.
Really, we've definitely had to have those tough conversations between us, because there's just, it's an important conversation in an interracial relationship, because our experiences are very different. The one thing that we have like talked about a lot is our upbringing, and just how vastly different it is, and how those experiences have shaped us as people. And I think we like, it's hard to shy away from those things, because those experiences shape you. And in order for her to understand me as a person, she has to understand my experiences as a Hispanic woman growing up in America, to an immigrant mom, a single immigrant mother, which is vastly different from her upbringing.
Right. Yeah. And I've learned, I've learned so much just being in the relationship, like, and learning about her and her family. And in terms of us having to, again, like, defend our relationship or anything like that to anybody, I haven't felt that. But what I have noticed more from being with her, number one, is how much I have learned and how much I've learned that I have to learn, and there's always like room for me to grow in that capacity. And then witnessing microaggressions against her time and time again, that now that I'm with her are so much more apparent to me than they used to be, and how even I was thinking about that because you had sent us the questions a little bit, so I kind of was planning this one out. There's microaggressions in the terms of, like, for example, being at a restaurant and we were running late and they had left off something off her plate, and so she just said, "Hey, can I just cancel that? Like, take it off the bill and we'll go." And he had to bring his like manager over, and she did the whole like 50 questions of like, well, we can get it right out to you, or we can take it for you to go, or we can do this for you and this for you. And she kept having to say, "No, thank you, no, thank you, no, thank you." And she was pushed to the point where finally, kind of had to be like, no, really, it's fine. And then the woman acted like she was being, like the angry Black woman, so to speak, like, just like, okay, and I was like sitting there like, what is your problem? Like, that is something I've never had to experience, and I think it's the microaggressions that almost speak louder to me than, like, we haven't really had like a major like racist incident, so to speak.
No, but the micro ones,
the little things that add up and add up and add up. It's like a constant barrage.
Yeah.
Even the compliments can be microaggressions, I've learned, which is like, when I first brought her home to meet like friends and family, I would get the comment a couple times like, "Oh wow, she's so well spoken," and it's like,
which is something
that's a nice thing to say, but why do you feel like that even needs to be commented on? You wouldn't comment, on that towards me or anything. Like, why do you feel like it needs to be said? What were you expecting? So even compliments can be microaggressions, and these are like, this is the language I'm learning the more we're together.
Yeah. And these are things that I've faced every single day of my life, and I haven't even like thought about them anymore. And it's interesting being with her, and it almost for me has kind of made me realize and kind of point out those microaggressions, because listen, after 32 years of life, you kind of, in order to protect yourself, you have to like put some kind of filter that allows you to just kind of let that go past you, because if not, then how do we as people of color even exist in our daily lives without being impeded by those little microaggressions? You have to let it slide, and it's nice for it to be acknowledged, and for her to respect that those are experiences that make it difficult to exist.
For me, the first round of advice I would give is like, trust is everything. I think it's so easy, especially in the beginning when you're not spending a lot of time together at first, or going on those first few dates or whatever, to want to constantly be like a presence, or constantly like knock on the door, and just like relax, let it go, trust that everything is as it should be. And what am I saying?
Trust is important.
Trust is key. Make it right for me.
Okay, so for me, my biggest criteria for being in a relationship is a strong friendship, is a strong foundation of friendship, right? Because in a friendship, I feel like we tend to put more trust in something that we think is a friendship, or at least in my head. A friendship is something that I tend to trust more than a romantic relationship. So for me, it was always important for me to have a strong foundation of friendship in a relationship. And that's something that, it takes time. I think it's, I don't envy the people who are going on first dates, getting to know people for the first time.
No.
Like that, it's hard to build a solid foundation, starting
Yeah.
from fresh. Not that it's impossible. Obviously, it's absolutely possible.
It's just easier said than done, right? To say like trust your partner when like we've been best friends for years and years.
Exactly.
Like, of course we trust each other.
So the friendship for me has always been important. So my advice would be take your time to get to know this person, because a relationship is only successful if you accept that person as they are in that moment. And that can take you very far in a relationship.
Also communicate, just talk. Like it's hard sometimes to speak your truth to your partner, but it's easier in the long run to just like get it out there, say it, work on it together, instead of like when you feel like you're hiding something from somebody, it just adds all this weight to your shoulder and you're constantly worried about what do they know, what do they suspect, what do they not know. Like just talk about it, get it out there, talk. If it's right, like your partner will understand or be willing to talk you through it or talk to you about it and
grow
just
through
have an open dialogue. Like communication, I think, is our best strength in our relationship, I would say.
Agreed.
And a sense of humor. Have a sense of humor.
Goes back to the fun. I mean,
yeah, we make each other laugh.
Yeah.
She makes me laugh more than anybody, and making her laugh is my favorite thing. So not putting pressure on a situation is huge. Like in terms of intimacy, like trust me, if it's gonna happen, it's gonna happen. But if it doesn't, that's okay. It's not like it means something or something's wrong or you have to worry about it. Just let the nights where you just watch reality TV together and snuggle together be what they are, and let the nights where you
it's all about just give you those eyes. It's all about being present with your partner and clear communication. Well, first of all, being an actor, there are times when we spend a good amount of time apart, and I think that in itself, like the time apart, keeps it spicy, right? Because you're just like, there'll be times where we won't have seen each other for
she'll be on contract for like 3 months at a time, and so we'll miss each other, we text each other, and then when we get together, boom. That she jokes that we have being intimate like before a certain time of night. I'll fall asleep. I own it.
The intimacy time has to happen well before midnight, lest someone
well before, okay,
falls asleep.
God damn it.
I've fallen asleep. But no, I think, again, like back to what Maddie said, not putting pressure on things. Like if you're tired, you're tired. But also we're just, we're very good at reading each other's body language and being very in the moment when it's happening. Yeah. In the moment, listening, not necessarily through words, but listening to each other's bodies. I think that in itself keeps it hot.
Yeah. That it's not any different. I mean,
it's just about two people.
It's two people
connecting on an emotional, physical, intimate level, and meeting each other where you are.
I think the gay community has really like coined the word partner, but I think that word should be applied to any kind of relationship, because that's what she is. She is my partner in this life. Like she's my teammate and my other half, and it's so relieving to be able to have somebody there to like bounce ideas off of, or just say like, hey, I need your support on this, or someone there to celebrate your victories, or to just be there for you when you're having a bad day. I can just say to her like, I'm having a weird day, and she knows what I mean by that, and she's there for me. And we just bought a car together. Like we've never done anything that big before, but just having your teammate there makes everything feel so much stronger and more solid, and makes the foundation that you're standing on feel thicker. I think it's a partnership. It really is. And I want my life to be one where I have a partner with me throughout it. And
that's all you can wish for anyone, you know, is to have a partner in life. And that doesn't necessarily have to be romantic either. I think,
No.
you know, humans, we need connection in order to thrive in this life. And yeah, knowing that you have someone that's going to be there with you in life is comforting.
Yeah, even just take away the romance, take away, you know, those other things. And I mean, they're not going to be gone. They're there. But if you take those away, I will still have somebody who I know I can say I'm going to laugh until I croak. Like I'm going to laugh all the way to the end, and I'm going to smile, and I'm going to have love there. And that's the most important thing anybody can have. And it doesn't matter how you find it or what it looks like in your life, as long as it's there. So whether it's, you know, your heteronormative relationship, or whether you're two cis people, whether you're non-binary, it doesn't matter at all.
Yeah,
it's just two people
who love each other,
finding love. That's all anybody can hope for, and all anybody
everyone deserves it.
Everyone deserves it. Yeah.